Hey guys, we've gotten a lot of emails asking for a classic TFL buddy review. You know, where at the end of the video we say you should buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it. So we came back to our old offices, got a brand new car. All I need is a buddy.
And that would be me.
Oh, we have a buddy. All right, Nathan, so what are we reviewing today? A retro TFL review.
Well, it's not a retro car. It's a 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. This is an all-new vehicle for the United States. It is, Roman, I'm going to say it, the crossover of Corollas.
Now the cool thing is, you've been driving this, you took it home. I have never gotten behind the wheel, so can I drive?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to do a walk around first?
Yeah, you want to do it? You kind of had this at home, so kind of talk about the styling.
Okay, well, first of all, what they did is they wanted to make an actual Toyota Corolla crossover, so they took a lot of the styling from the regular Corolla, and they put it into this vehicle. And I think they did a really good job because they avoided something that Toyota's been doing a lot, Roman, which is making really massive grills. I think this is actually a pretty decent size. I actually find the design to be relatively handsome, but it's not perfect. There are some issues. One thing I do like, and check this out, camera dude, it says Corolla Cross there. In case you forgot when you're replacing the headlights, it's a Corolla Cross. So there's that. The vehicle itself is about the same size as a Honda HR-V or the Volkswagen Taos, but
it looks a little aquatic. I would say the front looks like maybe a northern pike or a muskie. There's definitely a little bit of fishiness to it. I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, it definitely has like a jowl that looks like it's going to be eating some chum. That sounds a little strange, but I knew what I meant. The rest of the vehicle, now by the way, yes, it is wet. It's been snowing here, and so this thing was covered with road grime once I got here from Denver. So quickly washed it. And one thing I really noticed is that I like this pink color a lot, but there's another color they have, this green, which is like a forest green, which is in the video I did from Austin, and I love that color. Over here I wanted to show you guys something which you can't really see so much from inside. See this little port window here? It really does help when parking. It's kind of cool. The whole car is set up for easy driving, right?
So I'll tell you what, while you jump in the back and show them the back seat, I will open the hood and we can talk about what powers this Corolla Cross.
So I'm gonna go to the other side, so check out the interior. And you may notice I have actually really good leg room. Now the seat, if I were sitting here, would be a little bit further back. Not as far back as that because that's Roman, but nonetheless, it's decent seat, rear seat room. It's right up there with some of the better vehicles in its class. But what I do love is a headroom, which is some of the best out there for the back seat. And not all competitors offer a rear vent. So that's really cool to have. Let's go talk to Roman, see what he's got up front.
Nathan, this engine is really low in this vehicle. Amazing, and you can actually see it. I kind of like that. They didn't really cover it up. They just left it exposed. Oftentimes there's a big piece of plastic. Also, look at the placement of the battery. Isn't that crazy? Usually, they're here or in the back, but that one's right in the middle.
And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, what you're looking at here is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, puts out 169 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque. In this class, this is not the fastest powertrain, especially because it's hooked up to Toyota's continuously variable transmission, CVT, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we're driving because you can really feel it. But in this configuration with all-wheel drive, it gets 30 miles per gallon combined, which it's not a hybrid or anything like that. So that's actually pretty good, but it's pretty slow. There's something else.
We're going to find out. We've got the solo DL, don't we?
Yeah, and 3 people, which is going to be interesting. So one other thing, and one of the reasons why this engine bay kind of looks like you could add more is because there's more to add. Overseas, they do have a hybrid version of this vehicle. So everybody's saying that, including Toyota's hinted to it, that they will have a hybrid version of this vehicle in showrooms very, very soon, possibly as early as 2023.
You know what Toyota's doing, which is really smart, right? A lot of people want good fuel economy, but they're terrified to go electric.
Yeah.
So they're doing these prime vehicles, which is kind of like, 2/3 of the way to electricity. One of the best vehicles we ever reviewed is the RAV4 Prime. I think it gets over 40 miles on a charge, which is enough for most people to get to work, maybe even to get to work and back.
Yeah, actually, that's almost would be enough for me to get from Denver up to Boulder. Yeah. On a single charge. This will not have a plug-in version right away. That may come later on, but in terms of a regular hybrid, and Toyota's pioneered hybrid powertrains.
Forever.
Right. Now, the question, when they didn't answer any of these, is whether or not it will be an all-wheel drive hybrid, because they do have an all-wheel drive hybrid system where the an electric motor powers the rear wheels.
Like the RX, like the Lexus.
Oh, Sienna.
Right. Prius, Prime.
Exactly. Yeah. So all those vehicles have that. Will this have it? We don't know, but it does have room for that to happen.
All right, while I close, why don't you show them the back tailgate, how much room
Indeed.
there is back there. Let's see what we have.
Okie dokie. Yes, I actually kind of like that, although it's kind of unnecessary, but whatever. Anyway, so you do have some pretty good space in here. Not quite as usable as the Honda HR-V, but compared to everybody else in the class, some of the best room out there. Now it's 24.3 cubic feet behind the second row and 65.5 cubic feet with all the seats folded. The cool part about this setup is that you have a very easy, fairly low load-in height right here, which really does help. And ta-da! You got a donut and a little tiny bit of room. I mean, you could put your hair product right over here, and you know.
Nathan, I use a lot of hair product.
Oh, a lot more than me.
Like Costco amounts. Let me show you what I like. Actually, I forgot. Let me show you my favorite feature. It's a bit of style, right? They put the little Corolla cross right there. How cool is that?
Yeah,
that's a little bit. Feels a little bit like, you know, like almost like more premium than this vehicle would hint at.
I think that's kind of the bottom line for the whole vehicle, is they wanted you to feel more premium. Now, unfortunately, the one we have has the black interior, so you really can't see how cool the interior looks. They do have another one where it's kind of got white and mixed with black, and once you start doing that, you can really see all of the different types of materials they use, but they feel pretty good. And it's Softex, which is the fake leather, but Softex, I think, feels pretty nice.
Let me fix that for you. I am like your mom.
It's like my prom date. This is what happens when I don't wear the right flowers. So why don't we hit the road?
Yeah, let's hit the road.
And yeah, I want to see what your impressions are of this.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm super curious. Now, I was in Plano last year when they unveiled this. I was really curious about how it would actually do on the road. So this is my first time driving it. I do notice immediately that we have heated and cooled.
No, just heated.
Oh, just heated.
Yeah. This is just a Corolla.
All right. Well, that's okay. USB-C, right? And do you have the Monroney? How much is this bad boy?
$33,550. Now that is MSRP, and this is nearly the top of the line. So it has. There are other versions you can get, and you can also get a front-wheel drive, which will save you a couple bucks, and also it'll get slightly better fuel mileage. This is the XLE, and you can get more, but we got a sunroof, got cool little roof racky thingies.
I've made this journey, Nathan. It's been a long journey. It's taken 2 years. I've gone from virtual controls to hating virtual controls
yes.
to now loving regular buttons. And it's interesting. I was reading an article from Top Gear actually, right? And you go to the companies now. Everybody's going to virtual controls, right? So they're getting rid of these buttons. And the typical answer they give you is, "Why are you doing that?" And they say, "Well, people love their screens, right? They love their phones, so they're very comfortable with virtual." But the writer made a really good point. He said, "There's a reason coffee cups aren't made of glass or porcelain, because if you put coffee into a cup that's made of glass or porcelain, it will spill out."
Yeah.
Right? And when you're sitting at home watching your phone or your pad, right, you are also getting pulled into it, right? The idea of that is to suck you into it. Whereas here, you don't want that. You want your attention on the road, and when it's moving, it's also, your couch isn't doing this.
Yes, exactly. We actually had a viewer who's been talking to us regularly. I know you've been getting these emails as well, wondering if there's an issue with having gestures and looking and getting into 3D and all that, whether or not that'll actually take your attention away from the road.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I think it will, and it's something that we're going to have to balance out over time. I think that some of that will become an easier thing to use, but the bottom line is that, look, just give me these solid buttons any day and I'll be happy.
And you know what? Here's the problem, right? The youngsters will say, "Oh, you're old," right?
Well,
no, we're not old. There's just good design, and then there's technology for the sake of technology.
Right.
We had the Rivian recently. I remember I got into it. It's a 10-minute drive for me to get home. It took me 10 minutes how to figure out how to change those side mirrors. Here, I bet you I could do it in 10 seconds, Nathan.
Yep. And I really hope that there'll come a time to where we're able to still have the big monitors and everything that everybody wants, but at the same time, we'll be able to also allow buttons and things that are easy to trigger and easy to use.
All right, let's do our 0 to 60 run. So you were saying this thing's a little pokey, huh?
Oh, it's extremely pokey.
Okay, all right.
It weighs just over 3,300 pounds, so it's not a super heavy car, but unfortunately, it has this CVT. Now, the CVT is essentially a first gear, and then it has a CVT that kicks in right after that.
Here we go. I'm floored. Merging onto traffic. This is a real world test because this is what you would do in the real world.
There's no sport mode. We have 3 people in here, and we are also over a mile above sea level. I'm going to guess we're going to hit 14.
Oh,
wow.
You're so close. Here, let me show you guys. Can you see that? 13.74.
Now, of course, the car has been significantly handicapped. If it was just one person, if we were on a flat track, it would be obviously less. But it wasn't even that fast when I was driving it down in Texas. I drove it in Austin on extremely hot days, and it was slow.
So tell me about this transmission.
So the CVT essentially works like this, and this is Toyota's CVT. It has a proper first gear, so there's gear there.
Actually, before you continue, before you get off the highway,
oh yeah,
we
let's
have
do
to
this.
Our sound test. So let's see. Be quiet now. So between 61 and 63 decibels, which is very quiet. Indeed. Oh, you want to do it with that?
Yep, I bet you it'll be even quieter.
Yeah, about the same.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
about the same. So, so tell me. So it's got you said a first gear, and
then it kicks into the CVT.
Gotcha.
And the CVT, for those of you who don't know, essentially are 2 cones that spins a metal belt, and it's almost infinite in terms of the different gear ratios that you're able to get. The whole purpose of that really is for economy, and CVTs are very economical. Unfortunately, they're not fun. So off the line, this thing has a okay up to 30, say 25 miles per hour. But then after that, CVT kicks in and it just really goes slow.
So my suggestion is would be, if you put in the first gear, add another 5.
Yes, I know, right? You have the first gear. When I was thinking of 3rd or 4th and 5th. And, you know, these things used to, cars like this had like 4-speed automatic transmissions. Those things were bulletproof from Toyota, but whatever. Well, and there's no manual option, by the way.
Well, Nathan, are you hungry?
Yeah, of course, always hungry.
All right, well, let's see if this car can navigate us to Snarfs. I will make this turn and I will see if it can find Snarfs. So
I have bad news for you about that.
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah, okay.
Find Snarfs.
Channel 12.
Do you want the bad news now?
Yeah, tell me the bad news.
There's no navigation system that's in this. You have to link it to your phone.
Oh.
There's otherwise you just have to have the software put into it.
So basically they're saying,
download.
Get yourself Alexa or get yourself Siri and just use your phone.
Yeah, use your phone. And I'm totally fine with that. I mean, using your phone is fast and everything else. I just I know that some other cars do have a default navigation system. This one does not, per se. Now, there is more to the transmission, which is the all-wheel drive system, and you were privy to that. You had an opportunity to drive a Camry with all-wheel drive right when they came out.
Yeah, I did.
Well, essentially, this is the all-wheel drive system from that.
Oh, okay.
So it splits torque 50-50, front and rear when needed, and then when you lose...
Sorry, dude, they paved our bad road. This was our bad road.
Oh.
We haven't done this in like 4 years. Look, it's silky smooth now.
That doesn't really help us with judging how it rides.
Yeah, we can't. Well, and we don't have the hula girl. So,
I can rock around a little bit. But I can tell you I've been driving this thing for the past few days, plus I drove it at the event.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's wearing snow tires right now. I didn't know if you knew this.
I saw that,
Yeah. So with the snow tires, first of all, it is unstoppable in the snow. But even without, I think that the system works really well because I've driven Camrys with this system. All-wheel drive works fine. And there's no buttons, there's no selection, there's not even really a snow mode. All you can do is shut off traction control, which you would do if you got super stuck, I suppose. And that's it. there's nothing else. And there are a lot of people out there who don't want to, dial into what, traction settings they need. They want just automatic, and that's what this does.
Well, I think the ride is fine.
I think
it's
okay.
not sporty. It's just it's like a Corolla, right? It's like vanilla ice cream. You don't want to notice it, right? You don't want to pay attention to the fact. So I think I haven't noticed it. So that to me, they whatever design brief they had, they met it or exceeded it because this is supposed to be just a comfortable round town fun, going to work, family hauling vehicle.
That's exactly it, and a simple one and an affordable one. And it has the Toyota quality built in, which a lot of people still believe in. And another thing to keep in mind is, by the way, this interior, almost all of these parts were lifted and were very similar to a regular Toyota Corolla, which is another thing that's familiar. This whole setup here, this is all out of the Corolla. So there's a lot of actual Corolla DNA in this. And when people say, well, is it a RAV4? No, the RAV4 is more powerful, is larger, and more expensive. This is built to be its little brother, and that's exactly what it is.
So there are a couple things I really love. First of all, these seats are really comfortable.
Yeah, they're pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really comfortable.
Hold my big American butt just fine.
And I have a bad back, so I love when there's a very pokey lumbar support, and this certainly is pokey. I love this. I love the fact that they didn't go to some weird button or knob, but they have a traditional,
actual proper gear lever. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love the buttons in this thing, so I think that they're super easy to understand.
9-inch screen.
9-inch screen. Actually, the room here is we're two big guys. And we're not having any issues fitting in this.
None whatsoever. And I know Alex, he's behind us, and Alex is what, 5'10" or so?
Yep, 5'10".
And he's sitting behind me just fine.
Toyota has this way of just very quietly building cars that are affordable and make sense, right? So they're never pushing the boundary, right? There's no rockets on this thing or crazy colors that change.
It's
based
not
on
super
sunlight.
high tech.
Right.
And perhaps that might be a sticking point for some people, that it's not doing something unique. If you look at a Subaru Crosstrek, that's a very different vehicle because it comes standard with all-wheel drive and it's a Subaru and all that. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, this does all the basics just fine. It is not best in class in any way that I know of. However, there is something very interesting, Roman.
Yeah.
Let's say you wanted a Toyota hatchback, and you wanted to pay $20,000-ish for it. The current Toyota Corolla hatchback is very, very tight inside, right?
Yes, yeah, it is.
So for around the same price, you can get one of these with front-wheel drive, get comparable mileage, and you're in the same price tag and have a bigger vehicle. So for those who don't want all-wheel drive, you can get the front-wheel drive for a lot less dough and actually have yourself a pretty roomy hatchback.
And the other great thing is now there's this arms race happening with the Asian car manufacturers where they're putting in all the safety stuff, right? So we have blind spot monitoring.
This has all that.
Yeah, we have autonomous braking. We have lane centering, right? We have all the stuff that in many vehicles, especially premium vehicles, you're going to pay a lot for. And I love that, Nathan.
Yeah, Toyota and Nissan and Honda. Actually, all the Japanese companies and Korean ones for that matter are doing these standard packages like Toyota Safety Sense and all this other stuff where it's a whole package that comes in at once and you pay for one thing, it's standard, and boom, you've got a loaded vehicle in terms of safety. But there is a problem.
What's that?
When I was driving this in that snowstorm the other day, all of the sensors got fouled almost immediately by
Did you
snow.
get a little warning?
Yeah, I got a big warning.
All right, well, let's go outside and make our decision on whether you should buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it. Yeah, it does look good, doesn't
It's
it?
kind of a sharp little,
Does it have more ground clearance than a Corolla? I bet you it does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So the ground clearance is around 8 inches. So
It's not bad.
It's not bad, and for our standards, anything over 7 inches seems to work really well in snow.
All right, Nathan, so buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it.
I'm kind of on the cusp between buy and rent. If you're looking for something that's more fun, it's out there.
Lease is in the middle.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, so are you
But
going to go lease?
No, but okay. I'll tell you what. I'm still gonna give it a buy.
Okay.
Only based on if you're looking for a Corolla with all-wheel drive.
Fair enough. And I'm going to go very enthusiastic. Definitely buy it. Recently all the car manufacturers have been having issues actually building cars, as you know. The car dealerships are just jacking up cars, and here's a car that maybe is a little bit under the radar. So not only is it an all-wheel drive, not only is it fuel efficient, not only is it roomy, but hopefully before it gets super popular out there, right? And before the dealers decide that they're going to get a market, I hate that term, market adjustment.
I can't stand it.
I just call it bend me over adjustment.
Yeah, I agree with that. And anytime I see somebody saying, "Oh, there's a market adjustment," I say goodbye and I go somewhere else.
Yeah, the way that we here who really find that to be
in poor taste.
yeah, just wrong. We just don't buy it. No one's forcing people to buy it,
Yeah.
right? Did you know there was a story out that last month 82% of people paid above market, above sticker actually, with this market adjustment. 82%.
And you know what I say? And you know I'm a little vengeful about this.
What do you say?
I say that you remember those auto dealerships that did that to you. So next time you go to get a car and the market mellows out, you go, oh, I remember I paid $7,000 more for this vehicle. Tell you what, I'm going to go to your neighbor who, according to Reddit or whatever, said didn't do that. There are a lot of dealerships that are still battling around MSRP, and I love it. And those are the guys who deserve your money.
All right, guys, thank you once again for watching. Remember, check out TFL-studios.com where you can see all of our reviews, all of our channels, all of our TikToks. And as always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
Saying check out TFL-studios.com. Ciao.